Hey fans, today we're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame voting. The ballot is out for the 2018 induction ceremony. This is the ballot for the Baseball Writers Association of America. We have 19 new names this year. The most notable: Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, Hideki Matsui, Jim Thome, Johan Santana, and Omar Vizquel. Others who are on the list, and it includes quite a few who former Phillies. The others on the list are Chris Carpenter, Johnny Damon, Livan Hernandez, Orlando Hudson, Aubrey Huff, Jason Isringhauser, Carlos Lee, Brad Lidge, Kevin Millwood, Jamie Moyer, Scott Rowland, Kerry Wood, and Carlos Zambrana. The conventional wisdom is that we have at least two people on the list who could be first-time Hall of Fame eligible elected, and they are Chipper Jones and Jim Thome. One of the notable things about this is that Roy Halladay is not on the list. This is due to the Roberto Clemente rule, which was created after Roberto Clemente was elected to Hall of Fame when he had passed away in the airplane accident after his last season. The rule being that when a player who is not otherwise eligible passes away, he can be made eligible, but only if he passes away more than 6 months before the next ballot. Roy Halladay, having passed away this month, is not eligible because the ballot came out this month. Roy Halladay will be eligible next year, which is his normal year of eligibility anyway. There are 5 former Phillies on the newly eligible list, and just a brief overview of the rules. Each excuse me, each voter gets to choose 10 people off of the list. A player must receive 75% in order to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame, and if a player receives less than 5% of the vote, then that player would be dropped for the next year. That's bringing up some interesting possible consequences here, with 2 players who are likely to be or could be first-year Hall of Fame inductees. The question is, are there going to be some people who lose votes? Let's take a look at some of the ones that come to pass, some of the players in the past who may either be on the edge of receiving Hall of Fame votes or being enshrined, or what some of the trends were, and think about how they may affect the trends. For example, last year Trevor Hoffman received 74% of the vote and Vladimir Guerrero received 71% of the vote. It's going to be interesting to see if we do indeed have 2 players who receive Hall of Fame election in the first ballot, if Trevor Hoffman and Vladimir Guerrero either also get elected, which would mean a 4-player class, which is pretty significant, or if they lose support. Some other interesting name: Edgar Martinez had almost 59% of the vote last year, and then Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds were receiving an increased attention, even despite the fact that they have the PED scandal in their careers. Last year they had risen to about 54%. And it should be interesting to see if they continue the rise, if they reach the hump, or if they start to fall off. One of the interesting things is, if you think about last year when Tim Raines was elected in his last year of eligibility, Tim Raines was a known user of cocaine. Is that a sign that the voters are not taking the drug use into as much consideration in the past? I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. We'll see where it goes. I think another interesting storyline to watch is Curt Schilling. If you follow my blog, you know my feelings that Curt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame, that his numbers are at least as good as, if not better than, John Schmaltz, and John Schmaltz was elected to the Hall of Fame. We saw that Schilling went from about 25% about 3 years ago. 2 years ago, he jumped up into the 50% range, and then last year started to fall, going back down to 45%. So a question here is, if there are going to be voters drained off of some of these players, is that going to include Curt Schilling? And we know Curt Schilling is being essentially is being penalized for being an outspoken on his political views, which many of the voters are not fans of. People who did not receive a lot of votes and may even be on the cusp of this year. Billy Wagner received 10.2% last year in his third year of eligibility. Sammy Sosa in his sixth year of eligibility had 8.6%. Gary Sheffield had 13.3%. Jeff Kent had 16.7%. Fred McGriff 21.7%. There's a possibility we could see these numbers drop below 5% because of the big influx of talented players this year, and if so, they may just drop off the ballot altogether. It should be interesting. We should see where this goes. What is interesting, we probably will see at least one former Philly become a member of the Hall of Fame, and that's Jim Thome. Of course, when he goes in, he should go in as an Indian, that being the team he played the most for. But nonetheless, it's nice to see nice things happen to a player like Jim Thome, who is not just an excellent player, but a genuinely nice guy. Okay, thank you so much for listening today. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos like this in the future, by all means, leave a comment. Tell me what kind of videos you may want to see in the future, and also give me a subscribe. Thank you so much.